I welcome everyone, and this is going to be the modeling part, the modeling series, where we model a fairly realistic hand. And first of all, we will need to install reference images. So as always, we have it already in our files, hand back view and hand front view. And I will go to my front view, and from here I will install my hand front view image, and I will check mark in all views. And let's go to the top view, and we can instant hand back view. So we will have our reference images on the scene, and we will need to move them apart of each other a little bit. This one I will move on the Z-axis and this one on the Y-axis. This way we will have kind of a modeling studio, and you can see we have a wrist and the hand and the fingers. And let's start with a cylinder. And usually when you create the character in our days, this character will have 6 or 8 or maybe 10 polygons on the hand, maybe 12, but in our case it will be 8. So this is going to be the wrist. And we will need to remember this number 8, because at some point we will need to bridge two surfaces, two meshes, two holes. And for the bridge command we need the same amount of the edges on the both sides. So I will turn this part, it is going to be the wrist, and I will just position it like so. And let's go to perspective, and for sure we don't need these two polygons. And I will hide this object because we will need it only at the end of our modeling process. So I will create one more cylinder. This one will have 8 subdivisions, 8 subdivision axes, and no caps. No subdivision on the caps because this is going to be a finger. And we are going to model this object, and later we will apply a smooth subdivisions, and that's why we will try to maintain all quad topology. Maybe we'll have some triangles, but that's okay. So I will approximately scale this cylinder to make a finger from it. And I will move my object on the a little bit forward, so this way I will be able to see the size better. And I will scale the tip of the finger. You can also just move the primitive into position and use object symmetry. This is also appropriate way to model, but I will just keep it in the center. So for our finger we will need to make cuts. on the joints. So 2 cuts on the joints and 1 cut to form the nail. So as you can see, I compare the size right here, the size and the position of the joints are good, so I will just press Ctrl Z and will continue my working process. So I will delete the back polygon, and on front polygon, since it's Hand1, let's cut it a couple of times vertically and horizontally to make a quads. And we can smooth preview our object. And what I want to do is I want to rotate my finger a couple of times, and as you can see right now it's rotating like a sausage, like a rubbery thing. And we will need to add 3 edges on each joint to be able to rotate the finger across the joints correctly. Otherwise, the bending will be too smooth. So right now you can see the bending is more or less natural. And it is one way to do so, to just add couple of the edges. But we also have another ways to improve the bending. We can just select these edges on top and bevel them, and I will add 1 division. This is also a good way to form the knuckles. And in the bottom I will select also 2 edges and 2 edges, and I will bevel them, and here I will just leave it as one, leave this bevel with 1 segment. And in the center we can also just merge these new vertices to the central one to have topology like this. And this topology is going to behave itself more or less like a real knuckle. And on the other side, I actually forgot to merge the vertex, but I think I will do it later. And I will bend a finger a little bit just to give it its natural curvature. And on the next joint I will do the same thing. So let's move the pivot and let's bend the finger just a little bit. Good enough, I think. And I will reset pivot and scale this part one more time, scale the tip one more time, a little bit more. And let's take these 2 polygons, we will make a nail from this one. And to make a nail, we can make offset with these two polygons. And in some cases, it will be enough. For example, in some games like Fortnite, they just make offset and that's it. But we will extrude this offset down, and after that we will extrude this offset outside. So we make offset, we extrude inside a little bit, and later we extrude outside. And after all these manipulations, you will get a nail like this. And you can see we have a little gaps between the skin and the nail. So we will need to just move and or scale these parts to eliminate these gaps. And we also have a women's nail, so we can take these two polygons and just move it on the x-axis. So this way we will have a nice looking long nail. And here we can see some kind of intersections, but we can of course just adjust these polygons in a really simple manner, just by moving the vertices and polygons. And we can also scale some polygons around the nail according to your taste. Looks good at my opinion. Maybe a little more of the scaling. And the nail doesn't look too bad already. Probably it will be a good idea to make a tip of a finger a bit less squarish than it is now. Let's move on to the knuckles, and I will just move the knuckles just a bit to the top. Maybe that's overkill right now, but for example, if you're doing some kind of magical creature, you can definitely experiment with the size of the knuckles a little bit more, and this topology we already have will help you with that. And we can even achieve a little folds beneath the joints. We can use multicut and we can make cuts like these. And as you can see, we're getting a diamond quads. And that's even better than the triangles, and we can just move these new edges a little bit up and form these kind of folds. So again, you just need to experiment with the surrounding edges and you will be able to get a nice effect. Doesn't look too bad. And let's go to the top view. And first of all, I want to move my origin to the basement of the finger. This way it would be really easy to scale it and duplicate it into new fingers. So I will put it onto its place, and here I see I have something wrong with my model. I probably did not select the whole model, and I will move it onto its place one more time. And we can scale the finger really easily from its origin. And now we will need just to duplicate this finger 3 times to get all of our fingers except thumb. The thumb we will make almost separately. So we just Control D or Shift D for duplication, it doesn't matter. For now, if we duplicating with transform or without, I think that looks alright. And in the next video we will make the hand out of these fingers.